Thank you everyone for attending our public meeting for Utilities Commission today, September 11th. 9/11, remember though that day. We're going to open up. Commissioner Thompson, would you say a word of prayer for us on this September 11th?
Yes, sir. Let us all bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, the day that you made. We thank you for rising up in our right mind. We thank you for being so good to us. And we ask that you bless this meeting, bless all the participants. Father, we ask that you bless the sick, the shut-in, the bereaved families everywhere. And we be sure to give you all the praise and glory. We thank you, and we say amen, amen, and amen.
Thank you. We all stand, face the flag, pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moving on to our next item. Item C, approval of the agenda. I entertain a motion.
For a motion that we approve the agenda for September 11th.
Motion, looking for a second.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. West. All those in favor by show of hands. Any opposed, same sign. All right.
Chairman, we had two people that wanted to do public comments. Ms. Tharp said that she would be here. She just wanted to make sure that we would hear from her if she did, and then you had another gentleman that wanted to speak for
Correct.
public comment.
All right, going on to the next item. Welcome to our visitors. At this point, if you don't mind, Mr. Rayford, would you come up and address the commission?
My name is Nathaniel Rayford, and I'm with Bell's Place Incorporated. I don't know if I can pass these out.
Sure.
Thank you.
Just speak up right here.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Nathaniel Rayford, and what I come to discuss is I own the old Ice House plant right out here by the new mega site, and I know the utility commissioner right now is just getting ready to run everything, the power and everything out for this new mega site. And basically, our site is right here. We have rail service and everything. And like I said, we for the development of the community. I got it for the development of the community. And what we basically come is to see if y'all could use our facilities to build this infrastructure out that you're doing. We have 15,000 square foot warehouse. We have 3.85 acres that's accessible to the mega site. It's going to be accessible to the bypass, accessible to 96, because most of y'all facilities is on this side of the railroad tracks, and that is on that side. So we just come here, just to, showing what we have and letting know it's available to y'all for y'all use, to build or whatever we need to do, to lease it or whatever we need to do, because basically what I have it for is being a contractor with these new facilities and these contractors that's going to come in when everything's get built. And we want to build up our community. We had the last big build up came when Bluebird came, and off Bluebird, we got the wire shop, we got these other air conditioner places, so we're trying to spur other industries. We also have an engineering school at Fort Valley State, so we're trying to spur everything up, and I think everything is tied together with the city, the county, the utility commission, and we're sitting here and just bringing all these ideas up and letting us know that it's available, and if it need to be used, like the man said, let's let it be used, because we're here for the build up our community. We seen our community, kind of sitting at a still, but now, it's 1930s. Okay, it's time for another big spur, and we want to be in that business. We want to stay here for our community. My family been in this community 200 years, and I see the growth. I definitely believe in my community, and I believe that our brightest people are leaving here, so we want to build stuff for them to be here to start things up. I know Georgia Tech, University of Georgia had these think tanks and these co-ops where they run these things, and they have these people that's building up different things, Georgia grown and stuff, and I want to do the same thing with this and work with this incoming infrastructure that's coming here for us, the mega sites and other plants and technology parks and intermodal railroad yards that's coming. I want to work with all of this right here to build up our community, and whatever we need to do as a community is working together, not trying to pull apart, working together. Just let me know whatever we need to do and whatever I can facilitate to do this. I'm ready, willing, and able, and I'm just letting it be known.
All right, so we are, for those that don't know, it's the old ice house plant, the building, the warehouses, and it is probably, and just knowing it because I've been up and down that road too many times, it's got the only railroad spur off of the Norfolk Southern Main Line at that building. I think that was a conversation you and I had, and I said, you need to bring it, before, because it would be of interest to somebody, don't know who, but, I appreciate you coming and just so y'all know where the building was. That's why I want to speak out. And for y'all that don't know, it's just north of Bluebird along the rail line is where that warehouse is.
And you should certainly talk to B.J. Walker with the Development Authority.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I might start here, but I'm not going to end here. I want everybody to be included because, like I said, I seen Bluebird, like just worldwide industries, spur other industries. We got engine. All this stuff needs to come together. We don't need to keep using all our talent, and whatever we need to do to build our community, I'm for it.
So you wanted to make sure we knew it's there and it's available.
Available to you.
To us, to whoever come to it.
Whatever we need to do to a certain time, till we can come, whatever we need to do, we all just need to work together. Don't be everybody just working apart, just working together.
You got your contact information on any?
I give it to you before I leave.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Mr. Rayford?
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
All right. Ms. Thorpe?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am Sabrina Thorpe, and I'm back to address the Friendship Circle proposal or agenda. During the last meeting that I was present, which was June the 12th, what I gathered was that action on that project died on the floor. And I'm not sure of the process, but what I recalled, a motion was made, and if someone wanted to support it, they had an opportunity to do so. And during that time, there was complete silence. And why there was silence, I don't know, but I think that's probably something I would address with my representative as to why there was silence. But in the meantime, I received a copy of the May 8th, 2023 agenda, not the agenda, but the notes or the minutes from that. And as I read, I saw on page 2 that Commissioner Jones inquired about the status of the Friendship Circle project. And it was documented that that item would be placed on the June 12th public meeting agenda. And it was on there because I did read the minutes from that meeting. And based on what I read under the project description, it stated, and I'll quote, "Staff explored several options to address property owners' concern regarding increase of noise level after construction." And then the mitigating action included installation of slots in the fence and on and on and on, and I'll end quote there. No, I won't, I'll go on. And it said, it's the staff's opinion that taking any of the above additional actions would not be economically feasible, and the staff recommended no further action to be taken. So that was documented in the minutes from the June the 12th minutes from your staff meeting, I guess. But my concerns are listed were additional actions that were considered, and it was construction of a concrete wall, which was $500,050. Construction of a steel barrier, and it was $375,000, and planting additional trees was $19,500. And the concern I have is during previous meetings here where I presented, I asked for several estimates because normally when there's a business transaction or proposal, there's more than one estimate. I don't know if it's $550,000 was the highest or the lowest because it was only one submitted. So I don't know if you made your decisions based on that one estimate for a concrete wall and one estimate on the steel barrier. I don't know that, and I'm asking that. And there should be a correction to that agenda, to that minutes, because it said the staff explored several options to address the property owner, and then apostrophe S, meaning it's only one property owner. But as I stated several times, I am the only one present here, but there are other residents on that street who are concerned. And I also recall that it was told to me that there would be a visit to speak with the residents on that street. And I did let them know that. And they asked me when was a person coming, and I said, I don't know, but it appears that no one went to the residents to find out their concerns. So according to your document for June the 12th, it was only one property owner, which there were several. So I just asked for a correction to that record. That is more than one property owner. It's just the other ones are not here, but I made it clear that there were other residents that were concerned about that. And the final thing I'm here to talk about is a pothole in front of the gate. As I said before, and I know it was during the winter time I said this, that when it rains, water just gathers there and it sits there. And when it freezes, there's a sleet of ice, which is a safety concern. We're ending summer and approaching fall, and it looks like someone attempted to fix it, but the pothole is still there. Because when the water dries up, there's still a hole there. And this morning, I observed a utility truck speeding and just splashing water through that area. And we should not have to live in conditions like that. And this is something I brought before you all before, and I'm bringing it back again because there's a safety hazard for one thing. You know, you can pop your tire, and then again, when that water just sits there and gathers, there's mosquitoes and everything else that congregates around, and then who wants to drive through a puddle of water? And it's not just a puddle of water, it's a lot of water that continues to sit until it eventually dries up.
So is I'm going to go with the pothole, start with that point. The pothole is in the street on, right in front of the plant.
The gate to the entrance of that facility that you all built. And again, this is the second time I have presented that concern.
You ever had any reports of the pothole or anything?
We have had to talk about water, and we did contact the county about getting a crown in the road, because the road itself is low in the center and high on the edges. So it does collect water. And it is a county road, and it should have some sort of crown.
Is the road, is the county road or the city road? If it's on the street, it's not the utility commission's responsibility to fix it. It's either whatever jurisdiction the road is in.
Yeah, I understand that, but again, this is your project for which the pothole was developed because of that project. So that's why I continue to bring it to you.
And I understand your concern. I'm just trying, I don't know whether that's in the city or the county.
It's in the county.
But the county is responsible for county roads.
Okay, well, again, because it's your project, you should take some type of responsibility and contact the county to ask them to fix the deficiency that you all created. You created it. Your project created it, so that's why I'm bringing it to you.
I understand your position.
Okay.
I will get somebody out to look at it, and we will contact the county again, but we did contact the county the first time.
But I would certainly recommend that we allow the county road, that the utility commission not take any action to fix a county road.
Okay, again, I presented this during the winter time when it was ice on the road. And we have gone through several seasons, and we're still addressing that same concern.
And I will tell you why I would make a recommendation. The city attorney, the city got sued because the city was accused of fixing a road that actually DOT had the responsibility to fix. But the city got sued for it. So if the county takes action on in an area where they're not authorized to do that, they expose themselves to potential liability.
Okay, and that just reminds me of one other thing. I think it was during the springtime, I was told, because I did take it to the county, there were tree limbs cut. And I was told they were cut because the county said they didn't do it, because the limbs were on utility poles. And there's a vacant house which belongs to my grandmother, and I know the house is vacant, and I know no one cut the limbs down. But there are large limbs that remain in the yard. So, I don't know if you can go back and search your records to see if utilities cut down limbs because they were on the wires or whatever, but this is something that happened probably during the springtime. But the county is not taking any responsibility, so I guess we keep going back and forth. So I'm asking if the utilities initiated a project to cut down limbs that were on the utility poles, because in that community, if nobody moves them, which is an agency, they remain. And I know my grandmother's house is vacant, and we didn't cut down any limbs, but there are limbs that remain there.
Do you have an address for that house?
Yes, 104 White Street. And I can't even cut the grass because the limbs are so large.
We use a subcontractor for cutting all our limbs. They don't cut on the private properties as much as far as the easements, but all the public easements. But I will have somebody look onto that piece of property right away and see if we had any trees cut in the area.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Clay.
It's at 104 White Street.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, any other, what are the other, you mentioned our, when we got a bid or so for the retaining wall, did we acquire that through a normal procedure of?
We contacted, I believe, 5 companies that did that type of work, and we asked for bids on several different types of projects. And we only got 3 different companies that bid back on it. And I can find out the exact number and the name of the companies and can give you copies of those bids.
Okay, I would like that, because that's what I requested, because again, as I read the report, it was only one for the concrete wall, only one for the steel. So I would like to know what the other estimates were. Is that was the highest or the lowest, or what? You know, you just had one amount for each type of material.
We got very little response on the bids.
Okay.
Anything else? Any other questions for Ms. Park? You have any other items?
Yes, sir. Amending the minutes from June the 12th, which indicates it's only one property owner that had concerns. And as I said before, there were several property owners that had concerns. They just didn't show up for the meeting, but I did mention that to make sure that you all were aware that I'm not the only one that has concerns. But according to your minutes, I am the only one that has concerns. And as I said before, that it was said that the property owners, some of the property owners on that street would be contacted to get their input, their, feedback from them, but no one, no one has stated that someone had contacted them for their input. So I don't know if that's still a, project that somebody's going to go out and talk to them to get their concerns, or is it just going to remain one property owner with concerns? Because the minutes said property owner, and with apostrophe S meaning one property owner, but it's more, and that's why I would like the minutes amended to show that I am the only person that shows up, but there are other people who have concerns. So it won't look like only one person with concerns.
We will amend that for June 12th. In addition to that, our GM is going to get those other bids to you.
Yes, ma'am.
One for the wall was $500,050. 375 was the steel barrier.
Yes, ma'am.
And the planting of the trees, I think it was 19,500.
I'm not concerned about that one.
Okay, well, he's going to get you those figures to you. And as far as the pothole, we're going to see the county about that.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any other concerns? Oh, about the limbs.
Yes,
He's
ma'am.
going to take care of that as well.
Okay.
But we appreciate you being here.
Okay, and thank you for this opportunity to present my concerns. I appreciate it. And I hope to be back next month if all possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thurman.
Any more visitors? Any more concern? I see you now. All right, thank you. Moving on to our next item, approval of the minutes for the public meeting, August 14th, 2023. Work session meeting, September 5th, 2023. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
For a motion that we approve the minutes for September, and what was the other one, Chairman?
August 14th.
August 14th and
September 5th.
September 5th.
A motion, looking for a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lee. Dickey. All those in favor by show of hands. All right, moving on to our next item, activity reports for August of 2023.
Before you get to that, could I ask the question with Clay or Tara? Is there any chance to get minutes from previous meetings as well as the activity reports prior to the meeting?
Yes.
Could you email them? I'd like to look at this, in my own time rather than coming here.
Yeah,
Should be
they're in they email.
Email.
I don't get them. The reason I say that, I looked just before I came to make sure I hadn't missed it, so. Are you sending them to, yeah. I'll go back and look again, I didn't think I had received them. But if I did, that's okay.
It was Friday. Ned R. Watson at Gmail.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, sorry. Apologize.
Okay, any other questions before we move on? Activity report, the financial overview. Any questions on our financial overview from the commissioners?
Questions?
No questions?
No questions.
All right, moving on. Operations. Any questions for our operations folks?
Chairman, can we just go back, just please?
Okay.
That was a other income that was outlined in our budget for 40,000. Could you tell me where that came from and what it was about?
I think you're talking about the interest income. That's what that was.
Okay. It doesn't say interest, but it does say other income, so that's what it is? Okay, thank you. Excuse me.
Any other questions? Moving on, old business.
Oh,
None.
sorry, let me, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Operation. Is there any, the Connexon deal? Has anything happened with that?
Concerning the Nexon, we're getting fiber in Fort Valley through their services. We have been in contact with them constantly. We have submitted our electric footprint to them. Last word I heard from them was last week, which basically stated that they have given everything to all their engineering folks. It is now in the financial folks' hands. Once it goes through their financial folks' deal, they will go to their back to their operations folks to come contact us to see if it's actually a feasible option for them.
They will make some type of proposal, I guess.
They will determine
Or
whether
either will or won't, I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly. At
Yeah.
that point in time, they'll say, yes, it makes financial sense for them to come to this area, or no, it does not make financial sense for them to come. If it does make financial
Yeah.
sense, they will have several proposals available. One is they'll help apply for grants. We'll run the fiber that we will own at that point in time, lease out fiber to them, and then there will still be the point of contact as far as actually connecting the light and the customer facing side of it. Another option they had is they own the fiber, they run the fiber, they do all the connections, they're just doing our pole attachments or running the board rigs or whatever, was another option that may be proposed to us. But we don't have any of those proposals at this time. I would expect to have an answer hopefully by the 1st of October, but they've told me that it's a very slow process that normally takes 6 to 8 weeks to complete. We're probably in week 5.
So with our infrastructure for what we have, we will not be giving away or selling we'll be leasing them some, whatever.
Well, no, this would be a whole different network that they would be connecting to on that. They would not, our current infrastructure would not
be affected.
It would not be affected because our current infrastructure is, like, they're too small for them to operate with. Our largest count's 48 count fiber network. We're talking 400, 500 count fibers in their networks. So, I mean, just to give you a scale wise of what we're looking at, we're going back to ours, just for our SCADA system for us.
Right.
Theirs is looking, now it would be beneficial that we could, if we do the first option, where we still own that new fiber band, we still own that, it could get SCADA to places we currently don't have the fiber run. So we could see the benefit for that later on.
Yeah, I believe Flint was able to get a good many grants, from what I understand.
Flint was able to get grants from that, and that goes back.
I don't know if some of that money's,
The money is still available, but
Yeah.
that would go back to, but Connexon actually wrote the grants for Flint.
they wouldn't get them if they were putting it in, but in that scenario, we would have to own the fiber, I'm sure.
Correct. In that scenario.
It would be for us, not for a company.
Right, yeah, Connexon cannot, we would be the grant recipient.
But they just know.
They would
how to-
write the grant
Yeah.
on our behalf
Yeah.
as the grant recipient, and for us as being the grant recipient, if they go down that option.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
I'm
you.
glad he brought that up because the lady, came to me on last Friday and said that she lives at address 1254 and on the other side, Flint, they have Connexon. And I was just,
I understand the frustration of the residents inside the city, inside our footprint, or our electrical customers who don't have that option. We are late to the party. I'll be honest on that aspect of it. This was in the works well prior to me even showing up here as far as the grants and this process going forward with that. But now that, and I didn't know Connexon even existed until Flint presented them to us as a partner with that, because Flint was getting so many customers going through their network. I mean, I understand their frustration that they can see that Flint line right there in front of their house.
yes,
But
very upset.
Flint has a process that they're having to go through as a private co-op, that, they have to take care of theirs first, and then they can go from there forward. But taking care of theirs first may take years, before they can even think about offering it to someone else. Because when we say taking care of theirs, that's from Warner Robins to Columbus for their service territory. So that's one thing you need to understand about Flint, is that they're just not here in Warner Robins and Peach County. They go basically all the way to Columbus as far as their service territory. So every single one of those folks have to have an opportunity to hook up before they'll go outside their footprint to hook somebody else up.
They run almost Utopia or whatever that name is. It's way out there.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just such things that the folks who see that frustration have to understand that.
You would think we've got much better density than them, that you would think.
I would think it makes sense to it, but also, if you notice, right before Connexon came in, especially on 341, you saw Flint replacing a bunch of poles. The reason they replaced all those poles was so they could have clearance between the electric side and the communication side of it. There may be an issue where our poles are not tall enough to go forward with that process. Now, the grant money will not count to do a betterment of your poles.
Just attached to.
I mean,
If it
right. Well, what the fiber is to pay for the fiber and installation of the fiber. It's not to, if you got a 40-foot pole and you need a 50-foot pole,
Right.
it's not for that process.
Right.
And so that's something that we may run across. I don't know. I'm just coming up with an example of what Connexon may say to us when they come back with their proposal, if they come back with a proposal.
So we got a 40-foot pole. They need 50. Our infrastructure does not meet their requirements.
Basically. That's what we come down to. Last poll check was 4,700 poles in our system. I have no idea how many are 40-footers. I mean, just to give you an idea of what you're looking at, I would assume the vast majority are shorter than taller.
Thanks for being honest, that you were not aware of Connexon. And not only that, Flint got to them first.
Well, not necessarily Flint got to them first. The EMCs as a co-op went together with them. Every co-op, every EMC in the state went through Connexon. And so if you look at Central Georgia EMC, Tri-County's EMC, if you look on all their trucks or go by their corporate headquarters, you're going to see the Connexon logo on their, outside their building.
Okay.
So they all got together, so they all worked together with this process.
And they're getting their SCADA out of it. That's what they want to get out of it, is their SCADA, and then let the excess go to Connexon. So that's why they went for it, is because they're getting a big SCADA upgrade for their entire system.
So but they knew, but it was also part of the Georgia Rural Broadband Project that came through the governor's office. I forget that hit right after COVID got going and everybody realized there was not a lot of fiber internet service in rural areas.
Right.
And so that's when they jumped on. That's basically when that bandwagon, those funds became available. So,
Any other questions for?
Very adamant about it.
well, and I understand that. I mean, you know, I look at the Facebook discussion page. I see the comments on it. You know,
You need to get the gas station comments.
I understand. Well, I don't see those, but it is a situation where we're working on it. I understand it seems like we're an island, and yes, we are. They're going right around and kept on going. But we're working to get them here.
Let's do all we can.
Please.
Any other questions for Mr. Robbie? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to new business, budget review. Any comments from our commissioners on the budget review we were presented to last week with during our work session?
I just want to, I mean, certainly, well, I guess all the services except electric stick out to me, but I was just going to have somebody walk through maybe in a little bit more detail, or we could just start with water, maybe. Just so I can kind of understand it like a little bit better.
Well, okay.
So I'm looking at this, the summary water page.
Yes.
So let's just take the proposed budget, the one on the far right. I've got 3.108.
Yes.
Total revenue. So the other costs, what are the other costs? Is that the cost to pump the water?
No, that's actually,
That 1.1.
Treatment plants, isn't it?
okay, it is for running, it's for actually operating treatment plants. And the one thing that it's not really showing is like on the water, there is $466,000 in funded depreciation.
Yeah.
And the
So
reason.
you got some non-cash there.
And the reason I say that is when you take, like, this year in particular, we're doing 1.8 million in replacing systems that are out there that are all part of a depreciation fund. And when you consider that, it makes the red look a lot more black.
Yeah.
Because we've got, on our water fund alone, we've got 3 streets that have the 2-inch galvanized mains that we're trying to put an 8-inch main in so we can have fire protection for those streets. And we are down to 3 streets with those 2-inch galvanized mains. And now most of our infrastructure that we're doing this year, a lot of it is electric because we are getting on the poles, on replacing poles. It's broken down into 5 sections. We've broken the survey down into 5 sections. We had a pole survey last year.
No.
What?
This year's first year, we're doing section 1 this year. Currently we're going.
But we're going to shoot for 1/5 of the system at a time and replace the poles that are required to be changed. At the same time, we've got a bunch of those conductors from 1971 that we keep having faults. And we're trying to just eliminate some of those and take care of some of this infrastructure. I can get you a better breakdown on some of those expenses.
Well, I was wondering if we have, because you've got this, there's a detail in here,
Yes.
and I was wondering, and I assume you do have that same, I don't, maybe just the pure GNL might be a little, I don't know if you have something in between with just water.
I can get you a breakdown of the list that you can tell just what's waters from the account numbers.
Yeah, something like, maybe, could we have that for all the,
Yes. Yeah, I
mean,
can get that out for you right away.
Yeah, I'm
And-
sure it's
and
just
what
a
it-
report,
what it
but-
does is it breaks down, because even though this is broken down into these sections, each of those accounts are broken out by department as well.
oh, sure, yeah.
And so you can tell the operating expenses of each one.
Yeah.
And yes, I can get those to you.
So, and this is just for my own understanding, but let's say for the water and wastewater, for instance, let's just talk about water and wastewater. In the cost of goods sold, I understand we label it other costs because we're not purchasing but basically that's the cost to operate all the treatment, pump stations.
That's mostly chemical cost and actual
Yes.
material costs for operating it. It's not including like labor or anything like that.
Yeah, there's no labor in there,
Yeah.
but it's kind of, I guess, direct costs.
That's
Of
direct
the
costs
water,
on everything but utilities, because utilities is separate.
Okay,
So I don't want you to think that that includes the utilities, because that's a separate cost.
so yeah. So where's utilities, in GNA? Most likely?
I have a more thorough breakdown I can give you.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. Yeah,
If
just
I
maybe a
can,
little bit more detail on the,
if I can give you a breakdown that has the different codes so that you can read it per item line,
yeah,
it would be a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to explain it than try to go through it, because
Yeah.
that's how I do it. I do it
Yeah.
entirely by the account code.
yeah. And I'm not asking because I think something's off, I mean, not in a negative manner, I just,
Yeah, well, believe me, I understand.
Curiosity,
We look at it separately each month. Every month we do it by department for how much they're over on where, and that's how we determine where we sit.
All right, you caught up on the sliding scales? Any other questions?
so, okay, you've got the biggest capital outlays for both electric, which we touched on, and then some gas. The water's the two main lines, the 2-inch lines.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you're talking strictly capital.
Yeah, sorry, I switched to capital.
Okay.
Just thinking capital, just to
Okay.
wrap my mind around it. We talked about the electric.
Yeah, the electric, we've got, the Fleetwood subject reconductor, we've had a lot of breaks, underground breaks, and we're fixing it all the time. And it's time to just change it instead of trying to keep repairing repeatedly. The feeders, we've got feeders in a couple of places that they're just old.
This is, the design of the substation was built back in '67. It outlived its useful life at the time of the current substation, coming out of the substation. And this is basically to replace those feeders, make them more user-friendly in the future. growth and easier to work on. That's the purpose of the substation. Upgrading the place.
You got a plan for the next 100 years.
Basically,
Yeah, if we went line by line, then the meter department, they've got 2 pickup trucks, one with over 400,000 miles on it and one with over 350,000 miles on it. And they're pretty well worn, so we have a truck in the meter department. The only thing Telecom's getting is a ribbon splicer, which is capable of doing 5 at a time? 6. 6 splices at a time, and it's just a lot cleaner, more efficient method. The vacuum excavator, we have one. It's been in the shop for about 70% of the time, and I'm not sure exactly how old it is, but it's over 20 years old. 25? And we keep repairing it, but it's time for it to go. Now, on the galvanized pipe replacement, there are actually 3 streets, and we broke it down. It was 600,000, but we tried to break it down into 3 groups to not try to do it all at once, but to get a start on it. For the water operators, we had a half-ton pickup in as well, because they also have a truck that's got 350,000 miles on it. For the wastewater, we have replaced 2 of the WILO pumps in the past, and right now there's a backlog on getting them. When we order one of these pumps, it takes sometimes 10 weeks to get it in, and a lift station's working off of half of it. And we want to go ahead and replace the ones that are really worn and have a spare and ready to put it in, because we know one's going to go out. Of our 60 horsepower and 40 horsepower motors for the aeration basins, the wastewater put in for 220,000, just in case we had several go out. We put it down to 50 because that'll probably take out the actual, that'll replace 3 of them. And in the next year, I can't really see more than 3 of them going. Then at last we get down to the gas. And the streets on the gas are part of our DIMP program. And we have no choice. We have to replace both those streets this year. This is the last year of it. The gas meter survey we're required to do. And then the Anderson Alley main replacement, the line was put in on bad fill. And so the bad fill's poking through the line, and we're having to keep repairing it.
What are the last 3 streets, you said?
Hardeman Avenue and Valley View Drive were the 2 streets that were on the DIMP. And then the Anderson Alley main replacement is one which is not on the DIMP, but was one that was put in bad fill when it was installed.
it was installed, if the history tells me correctly, on Anderson Avenue. Fort Valley had a tornado back in the 70s. Okay, and instead of clearing out the field from where the foundation's still in that downtown area, right there, this is right across the street from the police department. That little alleyway that goes to the T's is right there, 4 or 5 different meters that go back to there. And so instead of clearing out the brick, the rubble, the debris, somebody just trenched out a line, laid a steel line on top of it, and said, all right, it's done. It'll be somebody else's problem in 20 to 30 years. 20 to 30 years, and now it's come up, and now it's our problem.
I did want to add one thing about the rereads, because we've talked about rereads in the past. And upon further investigation, we have several ERTs that are going bad. They're about 20 years into a 10 to 15 year life.
A what now?
An
They're not
ERT,
lasting their use 10 years.
An ERT is the battery-operated mechanism. The guy's allowed to drive by and take a meter reading without physically getting out of the truck and read the meter. Currently, the ERT that's out there has a 10 to 15 year lifespan. We're now in year 20 to
So
20. we're now on year 20 to 25 of that 10-year license.
So there's a physical
Battery attached.
battery that pulls off the houses?
No,
No?
there is no, it's just it's in a gas meter. Okay?
Yeah.
The index.
Yeah.
Run that index, right behind that index is the battery. That battery then sends out a signal.
Yep.
So, and for a meter reader to ride by and go, 123 Main Street's reading, whatever
Yeah.
the reading is, so forth and so on. Same thing with the water side.
Mm-hmm.
When you install these ERCs, they normally have the older series ERCs had a 10 to 15 year.
There's one on each meter.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now I understand. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm
There's one on
sorry.
each meter.
Yeah, mm-hmm,
And they had a 10 to 15 year lifespan.
yeah.
We're now in year 20. So a lot of them are going bad, and we found out these rereads are basically not picking up.
They're getting erroneous numbers or numbers that are, or not picking up numbers. And so they're having to go out and do a reread to verify what they're getting, because the meter reader doesn't know what the previous reading is, and they're doing it electronically. And so it comes in, and it's not until they run a report, and when they run a report, they see this number, they put it on a sheet of paper, and then they go back and they do these rereads. But so we have to plan on implementing, changing out these ERTs in mass scale.
So how often do we have to reread this? I mean, do we have manpower to go and?
We have the manpower, but it uses a lot of manpower, and like, for instance, this month we had 199 rereads.
199?
Yes.
Let me ask you this. I received something from, I think it was another company. Was that during that time? I had my utility bill on one side, and it was another company.
No, that was a printing error by the people that print our bill.
Okay. So
And
it
everybody
wasn't
got that other company on the backside of their bill.
Okay.
And that was an error with our printing service.
Okay.
And we have a way of verifying that that will never happen again.
Okay.
So Clay, when it comes to looking at these large capital investments, are we continuing to develop that 5, 10, and 20-year capital forecast?
We are
So
continuing the
don't-
5-year capital forecast.
Okay.
And we are looking at big things when we know they're going to come. I mean, we have the 5 years, and then we have a few items that we know are coming up in the future that we're putting on there. And right now, some of this we've paid for stuff that we aren't getting for a while. I mean, we're still waiting on the screw press, and it looks like we're 6 months out. You know, and they thought it
Did
was.
they take a deposit on that, or
No,
we had to pay for it?
no. No, we have the money set. That's one of the
Okay. Oh,
reasons.
I got you.
That's
Yeah.
one of the reasons why our cash on hand looks like more than it is, because we've got a bucket truck in there, we've got a screw press in there, we've got approved capital items that we haven't received yet.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm sorry, it's hard to.
No, that's fine.
It's hard to keep all this stuff straight. Okay, let's take the bucket truck, because I remember the bucket truck. We approved the bucket truck.
Yes.
It's $240-something thousand.
90.
290.
Yeah.
It's more than I remember. Okay, so that was in, when I say this year, I mean, we're
Yes.
still in 2023.
Yeah.
That was in this budget.
Yes.
It was spent in this budget, kind of.
It was allotted in this
It
budget.
was allotted in this budget.
Yes.
So, so when we approve these new things for next year, they may or may not actually get spent in that year.
That is accurate.
Possibly.
And some of, like the bucket truck, was that a 3-year? I know that,
It was a 2-year wait on the bucket truck. That's why we put it in now, so we've had it in 2 years. So estimated delivery, last time we got was first quarter 26.
What do we have, I'm just curious,
We have a list of what,
can we see that
yes, you can, I
list
could,
of what's committed? That
yes.
I just,
You're cruel.
well, you know what I'm saying, I mean, where we got a little negative spend this year, and then, you know, I'm with Ned, I mean, the total reserve amount makes me nervous.
But that's why I was bringing up the depreciation, because if you include the depreciation,
Yeah.
we are not actually going negative this year.
So the money.
Yeah, if you look on the front page, unless I'm misreading that, total 2023 to 2024, and you look at, you're adding back that non-cash expense, which I would include the depreciation, negative 1.2. Right?
Yeah. No, you've got the depreciation in the one, okay, yeah, as a non-cash expense, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, our net, essentially, if everything that's in this budget happens in the next fiscal year, then our cash balance would drop by 1.2 million.
That is correct.
Yeah.
So the.
Plus what we got hanging out there, which maybe the bucket, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I've got last year's list, and it just has to be updated for this year.
Yeah, there's no magic wand, I'm just, you know, for discussion, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm-
It's the, you know, it is what it is, but
Yeah.
So if an asset is approved in one budget, say the bucket truck, the money for that bucket truck is kept in reserves.
Yes.
3 years hence, when that bucket truck arrives, and that money is pulled out of reserves to pay for it, or is that money pulled out of reserves and added to the budget that was approved? But how do you get the money that's put in savings? You put it in reserves, and 3 years later, you pull it out for a bucket truck that was approved 3 years prior. Is that right?
That is correct. It is, the money goes into the reserves and sits there and gains interest. But it isn't actually expensed out until it arrives.
So the money.
So technically, it's technically not spent until it arrives.
So the money for the bucket truck in this budget doesn't show up in this budget as money spent, or it does?
It will not. It will not. It was budgeted to be in this budget.
Yeah. But we know it's going to be 3 years hence.
Yes, and so when the numbers come in at the end of the year, they come in and look a lot better than what they are.
Yeah. Let's see.
So you have to take the sheet of what has been spent and use that against reserves to see exactly where you are.
I guess for example, if you look at the gas summary, last year we approved a negative $112,000 is what we approved, which included, which would have some capital in that, I assume. And then if you look at the actual year-to-date, we're at a positive 564.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming the difference, part of it's that bucket truck.
Yes.
What's that?
That's electric without.
Electric.
Not,
I
yeah,
was thinking-
electric,
I don't know
not
why I was
gas.
thinking
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm on the ground. Same thing there, the actual is 1.3 million to the positive.
Correct, and so you should take off $300,000, $209,000.
So when you send around the additional detail, can we get an itemized list of sort of those past commitments that have been made?
Yes, that's what I said, yeah.
Yeah.
We have that, and I will email that out to you.
Thanks, sir.
And the breakdowns of the codes, I'll be emailing that to all of you.
Thanks, sir.
You know, sorry to jump around. So I really like how we did this front page with the breakout. I like the format, and then you're, adding back the debt service, getting down to like a cash flow. Are we still getting the monthly financials? You know what I'm talking about?
That's one monthly report that I seem like I get from her.
Can we?
I didn't see it in this one, and
Yeah.
I'll forward that to you, because you need that.
Can we make a
Would you
note?
forward it to all of us, please?
Yeah, oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, anything I send for this is going to everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, can we just, sidebar from the budget, but I want to make sure because I think it would be a good example as we come into the end of the fiscal year
Yes.
to look back and just see, because one thing I would like to do when we complete the year and sort of, close the books on the year, I want to look back on last year's budget and then what we came to and just,
Compare.
just, I think it'd be helpful. But anyway, I do want, if we can get those back in every month, yeah, that'd be good. That may be all my questions for now.
Sure.
Robert, just one, Robert. The different herbs, well, not the different herbs, but the herbs, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. We don't have one for every household, right?
Yes, ma'am. If it's a residential household, you probably have actually multiple herbs. You probably have an herb for the gas meter, an herb for the water meter.
Okay. Okay. But those herbs, you can register them from the streets, right?
You can, if it's working properly.
If it's working
and the
properly.
battery has sending out the signal, it'll send out a signal to the handheld device that
Okay.
the meter reader has.
And I'm speaking on this because you all don't have one for my home on Valley View. And it's like they have to come into the gate and read them.
I would not.
And I was the reason I'm asking is because I'd like to know, when we're going to get it for my
Well, so
resident.
if the reason is because the ERT is not working properly,
Okay.
I don't know that aspect of it. That's actually the meter department's more of why they were installed and not installed, but we can find that information out for you. If one does have to be installed, the only time you would see any type of interruption would be on the water side of the meter, on the water meter ERT. It may have to be the water may have to be physically turned off to be installed and then go forward with that. The gas side, it's just literally unscrewing the index, putting the ERT on and screwing the index back in. You won't see any loss of service on that side of it.
With the water meter, the ERTs is actually built into the new water meters.
Okay.
And we're changing out the water meters themselves and updating to all the new regulations with it. So the water meter is getting changed out. The ERTs on a gas can just be changed out separately. And when Tantalus is fully deployed, which right now it's only at 1,500, it will actually be able to read, once we get everything set up, the ERTs that are close to it. So it will be able to read and send from both the water and the gas. But in order to do that, like right now, we've got a bunch of the 50 series, and we got to go to the 100 series ERTs as the newer ones to get it to read and be able to relay that information. And that'll be deployed all at one time. We can't do a partial. We really have to implement them all at once. So it's to get the electric meters in first as Tantalus, and then from there we'd go to the water, and like we say, gas would be the last because it would be the hardest.
And the reason the gas would be the hardest is just simply because we have to get the collectors to read all the way from Musella all the way back down to here. And finding out what's the best place to put them, how we're going to set them up and things like that.
We don't have Tantalus meters up there because we don't have electric up there.
Yeah.
But still, I'm trying to get the, but still, we have to get that 15 to 20-year battery. That has to be replaced.
Well, the battery can't be replaced. The whole mechanism has to be replaced.
The
Yes,
whole-
ma'am.
Okay.
That whole ERT has to come out
Has to
brand
come out.
new. So currently, like Clay was saying, we have a 50 series ERT that's out there now. That 50 series ERT was installed probably in the late 90s, early 2000s. This is what I have seen. When we installed them as a mass install back then, they were said, okay, you got 10 to 15 years on these. It's now 2023.
Okay.
So
Right.
now they're going, so we've gotten very lucky. Those ERTs have made it this far, but now they are starting to slowly lose their
I'm just so
juice.
happy you all are doing the reread so the people won't see that, hey.
Oh, I mean, we have to do the rereads because that's our cash register. I mean, you know, we have to get that other, if we get somebody, we know they're living in the house, and it comes back as they used 1 CCF of water, 1 CCF of gas.
Right.
Low bill.
And no bill, low bill. Yes, we'll definitely go back out there and just to verify and say,
Right.
you know, now the 1 cc gas may be fine because it's summertime, but we would expect at least a few CCFs of water to be used.
Okay.
Right, so in all the rereads that we're having, are our guys in the field, are they starting to document that I have to go by Ms. Rhodes' house every month and go in her gate?
Yes,
So something has to be wrong?
yes.
You know, it seems to me that would be a logical thing if I had to go by, if I had to deal with a dog every time.
And if we have it in stock, we're going ahead and replacing those that are in stock.
Right, okay.
That have failed. There are I think it's a 6-month lag, like everything else in this world. You know, so we're trying to get them up to date, but as we see we're running low, we try to go and pre-order and go from there with it.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Rev.
One more question I thought of. On the, so for general and administrative in the financial statement, is that mostly overhead that's allocated to the different departments, or that's more of a direct cost?
Where are you exactly?
So I'm looking at like,
Are you in detail?
no, I'm on the first page of summary.
Okay.
And I'll be able to see it. I'm not trying to, I'll be able to see it when you send it, the detail. But I'm just curious that general and administrative expense, is that mostly overhead? That would be the
I believe it's
salaries?
mostly overhead, yes.
So, my question, or just, it would seem like, or why, it seems like water and wastewater have a really high allocation of G&A compared to their, I'm curious how y'all decide to allocate them between the G&A between the departments.
Part of that's a Crystal question,
Okay, that's fine, we can.
and on exactly how that is.
And I'm sure it's been done the same way, you know, but you got, it poses the question to me, it's like, okay, well, you've got electric with 13 million in revenue, a much larger, you know, department, but they're not getting, they're getting almost the same allocation of G&A as water. So my question is, water actually doing better
No,
than it really, than we're looking at it, or is electric doing worse?
well, water has, because you've got all those different water plants, you've got all those different wells, you've got a lot more you've got a lot of infrastructure for the electric too, but
There's actually more employees for water than there is electric. There's only 7 employees in electric total. I mean, so if you're including salaries, insurance, and all the other good things that go with it.
I see why, so it may have a higher
we got
allocation.
water runs 24 hours a day, and then you've got the crews that are out also repairing the lines and taking care of it. So we've got, and the same with, you've got wastewater, and then you've got wastewater collection, you end up with.
But you see okay.
Yes.
The personnel has got its own line. We'll look at it when the detail comes out, it's fine.
Okay.
You see what my question is, though?
Yeah.
They seem like, relative to their size, get a lot of overhead allocation.
Also, electrics come to us ready to go.
Say that again, Robbie?
When we get from MEAG, we don't have to treat the electric
Yeah.
side.
It's just rolling.
Yeah.
You don't have to treat the gas side.
Yeah.
It's just, it's already,
Water, you gotta treat it and everything else.
water, wastewater, you got, like I said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are lots of processes.
There's processes involved, and we have to make it consumable and
Okay.
treat it, put it back into the system.
Yeah.
So that's
I
probably.
thought you just pumped it out of the ground, it's all fresh.
Sure, yeah.
Moving on to the next item. Anything else? Any other?
Thank you very much.
All right, any other budget questions? I think Robbie hit them all. All right, executive session. Attorney, do we have a need for executive session? No, sir. General manager?
Not that I'm aware of.
I have. It won't take but
And
just
what,
a few minutes.
is this personnel?
Yes, it's personnel.
Is the budget approved?
No, we have, not yet.
We'll have to.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion, take us from public meeting into executive session.
I'll make a motion, we go from regular session to executive session.
Motion, move for a second.
Second.
All those in favor of going to executive session, show of hands. All right, thank you. Public meeting is adjourned. All right, thank you, Zach. We're back into public session here at our utilities meeting. During executive session, we had no information to move forward on in public meeting. Any other questions or concerns from commissioners? No other questions, concerns? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I offer a motion that we adjourn this meeting, our public meeting, at 7:30
Looking for a second?
p.m.
Second.
All those in favor of adjournment, show of hands. All right, thank you. Meeting adjourned.